Hello everyone, hope we are doing well. Back again with a little transfer update because there's been big news in the last, 12 hours really concerning Amadou Onana, not good news, Maxwell Cornet, good news. What one do you want to start with first, Gonzo? I'll let you decide. Would you like the positive or the negative?
Well, I don't think the negative's that negative, to be perfectly honest with you, but we'll start with a positive.
The positive news is that West Ham United are prepared to meet. Now, this is a phrase I'm going to read very carefully. It's from Extra Template and Dermesh from Sky Sports. They're both wording it as West Ham are prepared to meet the 17.5 million release clause. And now that doesn't necessarily mean they are triggering it, which is paying it up front, or they're just saying, well, we'll give you a deal worth 17.5 million to get accepted. But hypothetically, Gonzo, we are triggering, not tickling or anything like that.
Trickling. We're trickling the release. That's what we do, like 5 pence up front.
But it sounds like we're certainly making progress on the Cornet deal, and that it will be down to personal terms. Obviously, the problem is now, other clubs now know we're in for him, we're doing it, and if they want Cornet, they've got to get in now as well, and it's up to the player. However, unlike a certain other player, the initial signs from the player's camp, being a Will Salthouse client as well, helps that he is keen to move to West Ham United. So positive news all in all.
Yeah, and apparently that the player seems to be generally a good egg anyway. So, I mean, that's a massive positive. I think, sometimes you have to flex our muscles where we are. And when I say flex our muscles, I mean the position we find ourselves in over the last couple of seasons, which is back-to-back seasons playing European football. Now, it doesn't mean we flex our muscles against Manchester United or Man City or whatever, Chelsea, but those clubs don't want him, apparently. So basically, it comes down to the best of the rest. So really, we should be in a position to say, actually, we'll take him, we'll have him, we'll pay the release clause. And why would you go to anyone else aside from West Ham, if that's the case? And it appears he does want to go to West Ham. I think in terms of the player himself, I like him. I think because I think he's would bring some much needed pace to the team, but also he's direct. I really like this. He's skillful. Don't get me wrong. He's got an abundance of skill. But if a trick doesn't need to be done, he won't do it. If the fastest route to goal or to the pass or to move the ball on is just to knock it quickly past the defender and run, he'll do that as well. So there's a lot to like about this player. And in many respects, particularly given the age profile as well, the fact that he's already played a season in England, but particularly the fact we're getting good vibes from him, I think I would almost prefer this to the Kostic deal.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that, actually. I find myself really warm to Kostic. I think he's probably a better player at left wing back, but therein is the problem. Are we constantly going to be playing with wing backs all season? If so, Kostic is probably the better option. But I'm not convinced we will. I think we'll probably play as and when required, but our main predominant formation will be either 4-2-3-1 or perhaps a 4-3-3, given what we're trying to do with the centre midfield. But regardless, that position, that left wing back role, then disappears. It's either left back or left wing. And then I think Cornet is probably better than Kostic at either of those positions. So I'm probably more inclined towards him as well, actually. 17.5 million, I think, is a really good fee for somebody. And like you said, you're buying somebody that you know can do it in the Premier League, in a very poor Premier League side as well, can score goals, will get assists. Defensively, he's not the greatest when he plays in that front three or whatever in terms of getting back. His numbers are average, but that's without David Moyes' manager, if that makes sense. I'd imagine his most attacking players' statistics defensively go up a little bit when you're working under David Moyes. So I think it ticks a lot of the boxes, and it's good to see us moving quickly on this one. We said about Onana, but we have moved quickly on that. Well, I say move quickly, but we're trying to get things done. But with the Cornet one, it looks like we're starting to ramp it up a little bit. We're getting bad vibes from Kostic. We're getting good ones from Cornet. It gives us right, well, we know where we're going to go for it. And he's probably not going to be here in time for the Manchester City game. But if we can get him in for the Nottingham Forest game, that would be crucial. That would be good. A really potentially good signing, actually. My concern is I just hope he's not the left back, Gonzo. I know I keep saying it, but he can play there. I don't mind him as cover for that position. And I guess in theory, is he an upgrade on Arthur Masuaku? Well, yes, he is. Does he have to play left back if Creswell's missing? No, because Ben Johnson can play there. But I feel like we need a better option than Creswell or Johnson or Cornet at left back. I think we need a better one than what we'd have on board. But he does, I guess, provide cover. But I'm just a little bit worried that we're still not going to see a a conventional left back coming in. Anything else to say about Cornet before we move on to the other one?
Yeah, I do. I think he's the player we've been looking out for. I think he ticks a box that we don't have on that left-hand side. I think he's a different kind of player. And I've sort of approached this transfer window with the mindset, does the player improve the squad? Okay. And I know David Moyes said the team, but the squad, they're one in the same as far as I'm concerned. Gerds, does he? Yes, he does. Does Skamaka? Yes, he does. Cornet provide us with a different option on that left? Yes, he does. Will he improve the options on the left? Massively. You notice, I don't think any of the guys that play there currently are left wingers anyway. Now, I think, you could get too caught up with, left wing back, stuff like that. Will he improve the options on the left side? Yes, he will. If that's the case, bring him in. And also, he does tick the box and put in some additional pace in, which is fundamentally important for the way that we counter-attack. I'm actually really excited about getting this player, really. And we know, let's be fair, we know a lot more about him than the next player we're about to go and discuss.
The one thing I will say, I know what you're saying about getting caught up in positions. I'm probably guilty of that. But here's my dilemma or my worry if we were to sign Cornet no left back. That, for example, he might be our sort of first choice left winger, for example. He's playing well in that position. Then we have an issue at left back. Well, what do we do? Do we move him back? But then we're creating a problem further up the pitch. We might bring in Ben Rama or Fornals. But my point is the best player for that position is now not in that position, because we need him elsewhere in the team. And that's where my concern comes in. And it's as simple as that, really. I don't want him to have to play left back. Like I said, cover, fine. But then what happens if he's the best player in the starting 11 already and we need him to cover at left back because of sort of lack of recruitment in that area? We're going to have to move one of our best players back there. That would be my only worry. But like I said, left wing back going forward, if we need to play left wing back role, Creswell behind him on the left wing back, that's really good. His crossing's good. We'll score goals. We'll create chances. So, happy days. Fingers crossed we can get this one over the line anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because,
look, do you know what? Some you win and some you lose, and hopefully this one's a winner, certainly.
Well, we'll talk about the one we might lose.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to kick it off? I mean, you already know my opinions on it. Do you want to kick it off with what you think?
Yeah, in regards to Amadou Onana, so yesterday we discovered that West Ham had a bid accepted from Lille, and that's still true. That's not changed. The bid has been accepted by Lille. West Ham can now speak directly to the player with personal negotiations. But yesterday, when we said it in the video, the one thing that stood out for us with all the reports from the likes of Steinberg was they were keen to stress that personal terms were going to be difficult. They said West Ham had the bid accepted, but there's a long way to go in this. And that was unusual because usually when they report stuff like Cornet, that's not in there. There's a long way to go here. West Ham have met the clause, personal terms, the only worry is other clubs might then trigger the same clause. And then it's up to Cornet to play. But there's no personal terms could be an issue. But yesterday there was a warning in there, which was a little bit strange. You don't often get that. So that's what we tried to stress in yesterday's video is still a bit to go. Now we're discovering why, because the reports late last night, Gonzo, were that he prefers to move to Everton, that West Ham feel that his wage demands are perhaps a little bit too expensive. But you're a little bit suspicious by all this.
I am, and I am more than willing to. Look, I could look really silly doing this. I understand the tide.
Oh, it doesn't need Onana to do that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're quite right. So no, I do understand the stories coming out are very much everyone's reporting that he wants to go to Everton and all the rest of it. I find it hard to believe. I don't disbelieve both things that you said. I do believe the club are thinking his wages are a little bit rich. But my initial reaction when I heard this was call their bluff. Go on, then. Go on and go to Everton. Because actually, it doesn't make any sense on any level whatsoever for this. Now, as my understanding of it, I can't remember the dates exactly, but either the start or the end of June, Everton, over a 3-year period, have breached financial fair play. They had to claw some money back. The money they had to claw back was by them selling Richarlison. They also had to refinance to stop themselves selling Gordon as well. Tottenham wanted both players. In the end, they got Richarlison. They had a hurried refinance. They couldn't get any money off of Usmanov, who is a major shareholder there because, well, he's a Russian oligarch and his assets are frozen. Mashiri, their owner, was asking for money left, right and centre. They almost got taken over last month by a consortium headed by Peter Kenyon. And And they're heavily, I mean, I think they're quite heavily stocked in central midfield. There are other areas in Everton's squad, particularly given the news that Calvert-Lewin's now injured, where they might want to go and buy somebody. Apparently, I don't know if this is the truth, they were hurriedly trying to renegotiate their payment terms with Dele Alli, because originally Dele Alli, they paid no money, and the terms were a little bit sketchy. So there was something going on there with Tottenham as well. All the stories coming out that Everton have got no money. So all of a sudden, this player who Lille didn't want to take 30 million for, didn't want to take 35 million euros for, is basically going to cost over 40 million euros. Suddenly Everton have got the money for him. Now, again, they've had to structure the deal for Dwight McNeil. So everything you're seeing in the news is that Everton are skin, Everton are penny pinching, taking money from there to feed all this in. It doesn't then make sense. And not only that, they're willing to pay this guy £135,000 a week. Where on earth has that money come from? And I just looked at it, and I looked at a lot of the people leaking the news, particularly some of the Twitter accounts from some of the overseas journalists. I just thought this just smacks. You know, I said this last night. Smacks as if it's coming from the agent. The agent's leaked it to the journalist, right? And then I was just waiting for our countermeasures to come, and then I saw it. I think possibly it was a tweet from Jacob Steinberg, who turned around and said, oh, the club are going to look at other options now. It's got a bit rich. That, I think, was the counter propaganda from the club to say, I just think there's this massive game of chess going on here. I'd be amazed. And I'm more than happy to be corrected on it. And if Everton have got some money, fair play to them. I don't know where they've got it from. I'm not sure how they're going to pass that out through financial fair play. I don't know. I just find it a very, very hard one to believe. I'm not saying we're going to sign him, but I just don't believe all this Everton stuff.
Yeah, I agree with your suspicions, really. And to be fair, the Everton side of it, the Everton fan side of it, also don't believe it. They're saying, there's no way we can afford this. We don't want him. What's going on? They're still in advanced talks with PSG over re-signing Idrissa Gana Gueye. So that's who they're expecting to sign. So they're looking at Onana thinking, like, why? This doesn't make sense. We don't have that type of money. If we do, we're getting a striker, not a centre midfielder. But Lampard does want two midfielders, with Idrissa Gana Gueye being one of them and a other. But it's a dangerous game for the agents to play if it is the agents that's doing this, because very quickly you can put David Moyes off with things like this, which is demanding silly money or whatever. Because as we've seen with the Lingard one, which is we made our offer and said, there's the offer. And then they said, well, Forrest are offering us this. And Moyes essentially went, well, go then. Go to the City ground then. But that's all you're getting from West Ham. So it felt like Lingard's agents tried to call bluff on David Moyes and West Ham, and we stood firm. And you get a feeling that if Onana does the same very, very quickly, West Ham might say, well, forget it. That's what you're interested in. There's negotiations, and then there's taking the piss. And there's a very fine line between the two as well. And you find yourself on the wrong one. I think very, very quickly you might find the deal gone completely. You might find yourself at Lille for next season on your £6,000 a week or whatever it is wages on currently. So I think it's a bit of a dangerous game for them to play, actually, calling West Ham's bluff on this. My biggest frustration with this would be that this has come as a surprise to us. Now, I'm aware we've not had permission to speak directly to Onana and his team until yesterday, but there's no chance we've not had any sort of informal discussions, or at least sounded out the deal and made sure the player's interested and stuff. My biggest frustration would be, we've been in bidding for this guy for about a month now. This is our fourth bid that's had to get accepted. So there's been 3 previous with a couple of weeks where we didn't hear anything. In that month, they've not been given the impression that he'd command this much wages or something like that. It would almost feel like a bit of a waste of time, really. We did all this, we chased him, all these negotiations. Then we get to the final bit and go, oh, that's quite expensive, too rich for us. We're off ski, bye. While it's admirable, there's only 3 weeks until the window closes now. But I guess the good thing is we now know we've got £35 million to spend elsewhere on a midfielder. So you're still going to be able to afford a really good midfielder. But you're maybe not back to square one, because I think there's other players on the list. But you're certainly maybe back to square 2 or 3, which is, well, where now? Because Zielinski's not working out, Onana's not working out. Where do we go now? And that's my biggest worry, because this is where I feel like so far this summer we've seen a change of transfer strategy from West Ham compared to January. Just comparing it to January, this is where there will be a little bit of a test again, because, well, what do you do now? This is a player you clearly want. Are you going to wait? Are you going to try and persuade him? Or are you going to cut it off and move on very, very quickly? We've had a few tests this summer. Some of them, like Broja, Skamaka, I've been quite impressed by. But then there's others like Jesse Lingard, and to some extent, this Kostic one's starting to. I almost want that to disappear. I actually hope he joins Juventus pretty soon just to get rid of it. But this one's still lingering. So, so a bit disappointing. But I think it's just a game of bluff at the minute, and everybody's sort of calling each other out and just their agent trying to get a few bit more on the table and stuff. But the word from West Ham side of it is that personal terms are a long way to go, and that a deal at the minute looks unlikely, and that the move to Everton looks the most likely destination for Amadou Onana.
Yeah, just to pick up on a couple of the points he said.
Yes.
If no one's in a hurry.
No.
Okay. Hey, I'll have a little drink before I say it again.
What are you drinking? That's where you get milkshakes in when you go to good places.
It's a metal cup. I got it because the kids, the plastic cups are no good, and you can't have sort of glass when the kids are out in the garden. They smash glass, and then anyway, there you go. So I've got some metal beakers basically.
So your kids can kick it out in the garden essentially.
No, we have footballs for that, mate. That's why we're particularly skillful in this household. That's for sure. The terms of we know we've got money for a midfielder. We've had double confirmation now, okay? And I say double confirmation. I didn't believe the Zielinski one at all. It just never made sense. I don't see anything to suggest we are going to spend, apart from rumours, I don't see any hard evidence to suggest that David Moyes is willing to spend 25 to 30 million on somebody that's nearly 30. I just don't see that, right, at all. I just don't see that. He's going to spend money, big money. They're going to be in their early 20s. So I disbelieve that. I also don't think that positionally it made sense either. However, I did believe the 50 million pound for Calvin Phillips. I believe that didn't come off. I believe that we're bidding for Onana again, whatever, 35 million. There's money there for a central midfielder, and we know that David Moyes wants this. Also, look at the two solid bids. They are for more defensive minded midfielders as well. So that gives some indication of what David Moyes is planning. I think that's really, really good. Promising for West Ham. Gives us some promise for the rest of the season. Whoever the second target is. And it's something that I said earlier, Geo, if it is a game of bluff, and I do believe it to be, I would also be now not just sort of, Jacob Steinberg tweeting out or whatever, that I would also be passing it out to all my contacts in the press and say, we're looking for a bit, announced that Thomas Souček is staying or a big season. I'd be releasing all that stuff. So the news filters back to the Onana camp. I'd also be linking us with somebody very, very similar then as well, and start going for our second target in the same way that we play Breuer and Scamacca. I'll be doing that right now because apparently the agent's really pushing for loads of money, and the agents get 20% of his wages. Well, I'll tell you what, we need to scare them into the fact they might be thinking they'll be getting 20% of nothing, and that ain't very much at all. The other thing that really tickled me about it was I think it's really sloppy. I think it's really lazy game playing. Either that, or if he is generally going to Everton, it's a good thing for us. Whatever way, I don't think it's been played out well. Because if there's one club you don't want to do the mystery teaser with, it's Everton. Because I'll tell you who's still at Everton, it's Bill Kenwright. And Bill Kenwright and David Moyes are great mates. And I just wonder if there's a little bit of naivety. Let's pick a club. Let's link him with another club and try and boost the wages. We'll pick Everton. I just don't think they've done their homework. Well, that's... David Moyes knows everybody at Everton. He literally picks up he probably don't do that. He's probably got a mobile phone. It's probably not one of those phones, Joe. He probably picks up his phone, he taps it, and he says, Bill, are you in for this player or not? And they are lifelong friends, weddings and all sorts. And Bill Kenwright will either say yes or no. I mean, it's just a ludicrous chess move, actually. There you go. Anyway, that's what I think about it.
What happens if they are? Bill's hardly going to say yes, we are, Dave. Sorry.
I think he would. I think he would. I think he would say there's genuine interest, but because at some point there becomes, a friendship thing there. But I don't know why they're doing it. I'd pick another club that he's got no links with or anything else. Also, I'd find the whole thing weird. Let's be fair. If they had a spare 35, 40 million euros kicking around and they had 135 grand a week to pay, they would just kept Charleston.
Yeah, that's a fair enough point, to be fair. Right, to summarise, before I do that, just a reminder, we're not in the know. We just report, we just comment on the reports that you already see. We talk about the rumours, we don't create them. But Gonzo, opinion, this is opinion only. Can I get your vibes on if we're going to sign Cornet and if we're going to sign Onana? What are you vibing at the minute?
My vibe is that we will sign Cornet. My vibe is that we won't sign Onana, but I also have a vibe that he ain't going to Everton either. I do wonder if basically we might walk away and he'd be left with his trousers down, basically. And I'm not sure how much the player will appreciate that. But I think there'll be a lot will play out today. What is it? Lunchtime now. Come the end of tonight, mate. I think we'll know an awful lot more.
Yeah, I think we'll sign Cornet as well. I think even if the other clubs came in, there was our link to him, which is Newcastle, Everton, funnily enough, and Nottingham Forest. I'd like to think we've got enough pool. And if we lose out to those clubs, it's probably due to a financial reason. And in a way, I'm not that harsh that we miss out on a player because of money. If that's the case, but assuming we make a fair offer and we're not trying to lowball them completely, but we give them a wage that's in keeping with first-team football at a Premier League club, and they pick somewhere else and they will overpaid, I'm okay with losing out on that player. Probably the type of character we probably don't want here at the club anyway. In regards to Onana, I'm a bit like you at the minute, but I've just got a sneaky feeling that we might end up signing him because we've pursued this player for a month now. We know that. We've had the bid accepted. We've done all the hard work. And there might be clubs that come in at last minute. Like I've said yesterday, this is the summer of hijacking for some reason. One club does all the dog work. The others sit back, wait. Once the deal's done, they all jump in. But as we've seen with Scamacca, and Scamacca told us this himself, which is when West Ham agreed a deal, other clubs came in. Scamacca said, no, I'm going to West Ham. They were the ones that came in. They're the ones that wanted me. You lot can all do one. And there is an advantage to being first sometimes. And if Onana can't see that, then again, I'm not that bothered. I find it hard to get disappointed when we don't sign players I've never heard of. I know it's not necessarily fair, but I can't get my hopes up saying, I can see how Onana's going to fit in and stuff like that. I can't because I don't know him. So if he doesn't come, as long as we get somebody else, because there's still a lot of work to be done. Even after Cornet, there's still a lot of work to be done. Even after Cornet and Onana, there's still quite a bit of work to be done in the summer transfer window. But we'll leave it there, my friend.
Yeah, mate. Good to have a catch up. The news will change a lot today, Dan.
Coming out later this evening, we have our Manchester City preview. The Premier League is back on Sunday, so keep your eyes out for that. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new to the Hammers Chat. Myself and Gonzo, well, we'll catch you this evening.